Yo, it's Mo Flava. You're here for the catch-up, right? Nice one. Always good to have you back. But don't forget, the real vibe happens on 947, weekdays 9 a.m. to 12. In the meantime, kick back and enjoy more of the good stuff right here on Prime Media Plus.
You're listening to
Mo Flava on 947.
You can invite your friends or even family for a round or two of 30 seconds. No problem. But what of inviting your boss for a round of 30 seconds? Is that the depth of your relationship that has gone beyond the professional? Listen, I've got stories for days. Now on Friday, I was at one of my gigs and, these two guys were really enjoying the music. And, they kept kind of like, throwing those fist pumps in the air. You know what I'm saying? Cool. So one of them, eventually after my set, he comes up to me and he says, "Oh, great music, etc." He shows me a couple of songs he managed to Shazam and didn't Shazam and whatever. And as I was chatting to him, I was just, free-flowing conversation. And then it turns out that he's actually there with his boss. And that they hang out together, and this is a thing they do. They go out together as mates. So I thought to myself, okay, cool. And then I thought to myself, no, wait a second. Is this not common where, you're out partying with your boss? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just like, where are the lines? Then it got me thinking. I'm like, I have to talk about this on the show because I'd love for you and I to talk about how we play this game. Like, how do we play this game? You obviously in a company, you're working, running it, whatever the story may be, and how do you then figure out what sort of relationship to have with your boss beyond the professional? And how you draw your lines, right? Are they strict lines or are you a little bit fluid? Are you one of those people who's got no problem befriending management? Or do you keep it strictly business? What is the best way to play it in your view? And how do you play this game? I mean, I can tell you now, I've had all types of experiences. I've had a bit of both. I've had managers who were once sort of colleagues and then they, ascended into management positions, but were friends before they were managers. And things changed, as in, they showed me that they're now the boss. And then I've also had instances where, it's strictly professional. Honestly, you're never going to find me, in the manager's room unless it's about work or whatever. Right? I'm never going to go in there and talk about, what a fabulous time I had at Pilansberg over the weekend with my manager. Not because I don't like the person. No. That's just not what our relationship is about. So I want to know how you feel about being close to management. Do you think it opens doors, as in beyond just the professional, whatever that means? And what's the best way you play it? Friends of management? Or do you keep it strictly business?
947.
Some people say, listen, windows are there to be broken. Some say goalposts are there to be shifted. So, basically the only way to get your doors open is to be close to management. But, befriending your manager or managers, can go both ways. And I'm just curious to find out what you think the best way to play it is.
Morning. So my previous manager and I were actually very, very close friends. So we met in the company. He was the manager at the time when I joined, and we just vibed. And one day I went out with a buddy of mine, and I met my manager at the place we were hanging out at. And, he joined us, and then it just became a thing between us. But I loved how we managed to keep it separate. So professional, when we're at work, we are at work. We're not friends, we are at work. And then we'll just go out and hang out afterwards. Thank you.
I commend you on staying within the lines, because it's so easy to go into the yellow lane and do your own thing. I'm just also curious, surely, there must be some sort of benefit of whatever kind in the context of work if you're like tight with your manager, as in friendship tight. I don't believe it's all professional. There's some or other benefits, whether it's tangible or intangible.
So I was at Mo, nice show as always. So until recently, I had a boss, and I have always kept it at just work level with the bosses, or maybe they are like that. But the only times I'm having drinks with my bosses at a team building, or we are at a conference, but never just me going out to go watch a Mo Flava set. And now that I'm a boss myself, now I'm keeping it there. Like, we'll have drinks if it's a year-end function, if it's a team building, if it's after an industry meeting, but we're not going out to go watch Mo Flava.
Yeah, listen. If you come out and hang out where I hang out, you guys are going to be even much closer. Look, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with saying to your boss, or the other way around. How are the kids? How's the wife? How's the hubby? How did your surgery go? Oh, I heard your mother was sick. Is she fine? I'm not saying we shouldn't do that. I'm just thinking, okay, cool. It's my daughter's birthday this weekend, and hell, boss, you're invited. Come have a drink while we watch the kids have a swim. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Is that, Anyway, maybe that is the best way to play it. Maybe some of us are sleeping. Maybe I could have been far. Eh? Maybe I could have been far if I was always there in the boss's office. Always upstairs. Gwanje, where's our boss? Is it the third floor? Third floor, ne? There's the boss, and then the boss.
947.
People are your number one currency. It's one of the things I believe in. In other words, you've got to have a really great relationship with people, no matter where you end up working or what business you run, etc. Because that's your network, and I get it. And maybe that's the thinking when you decide to really take this relationship with your manager or managers to a more personal level. I'm not even necessarily talking about romantically, but it will be included. In other words, we're more than just colleagues. You're more than just my superior. And is that the best way to play this game? Or could it end badly because of this thing that has developed beyond the professional? And now when it's time to crack the whip, it's difficult and it causes chaos. You and I both know that one of the key themes in this whole discussion is ethical behavior. You know what I'm saying? So, what is within ethical bounds in that regard? But do we ever think of that when you're sharing a cold one with the boss?
Yo, Mo, this one is taking me a little bit memory lane, because I actually learned this the hard way. Because recently I got a bit too comfortable at work and made a joke that didn't land well with my supervisor. It was one of those moments that quickly reminded me that being friendly doesn't mean forgetting the professional boundaries, because we always do that. I think it's good to have a relaxed and positive environment, but also at the end of the day, respect and roles still matter more. You can be jolly at work and be approachable. Just don't get too carried away at all, because that balance is very important. I will never forget that day. That was the first time the kind of rebuking that happened in front of other colleagues, and it was not nice at all. But I had to learn it that way, and we need to be, friends with one another in a friendly way at work, just to get along with one another. But you should never get too carried away to a point that maybe we overshare things and we get too close. We call each other by nicknames and stuff. That doesn't end well.
Yeah, those soft skills are key, and sometimes, they help you in creating a better working relationship with your manager, even your colleagues. But, where's the line?
Mo Flava. It's a terrible idea to be friends with management, at least for me. No. I'm not here to make friends, I think Anele said it well. We could be friendly and kind to each other, but not friends. We're just colleagues, man. No. Because when it's time for me and you to sit down and talk about my raise, there is nothing that's going to cloud the judgment. It's a terrible idea. No.
I'll never forget the day one of my former managers at, one of the radio stations I worked at came to me one day and said, listen, I'm going to go fetch my daughter at school. Do you mind coming with me? And I thought, what's happening here now? Am I going to get a raise or what? Oh, no. So I agreed, got in the car, and we drove off. Drove around Parktown, went to pick up his daughter, and we were just having normal, general conversation. But in that trip, I kept asking myself, okay, cool. What is this really about? I kept waiting for the blow. I kept waiting for the punchline. I kept waiting for the moment where he's going to drop something, a bomb, and it just never happened. And to this day, I don't know why he asked me to accompany him to go fetch his daughter from school. So was it just that? Nothing deep about it. Just let's hang out. Let me get to know you, and that's that. And maybe I misread that whole situation, thinking, no, he wanted to drop a bomb. In hindsight, I do think it was actually a very cool thing. And if I ever wanted a raise, that would have been the moment for me to ask. But I didn't. And like I kept saying earlier, maybe if I took my relationships to another level with management, I'll be fine. Hey, yo.
947